Welcome to day 2 of the Farm to Fork Festival. We're about to get started. In a few moments we're going to be doing an apple tart demo behind us, but first we're going to have an opportunity to hear from herdswoman Arwa De Groot, who is with the family farm operation Mapleton's Organics. 13 years have you been involved back on the farm, so like many young people, Arwa left the farm for a life as a student and in the city and doing other sorts of things, was involved with a film career, but like many farm children, the call of the farm was just a bit too much. So she returned to the farm, raises her twin daughters there, and is deeply involved in many aspects of the operation. She's got a cooler full of ice cream for us to sample. We're going to listen for a little bit to what Arwa has to say, and then stick around afterwards. We'll move on to the apple tart demo. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi everyone. As you heard, my name is Arwa De Groot, and I am a organic dairy farmer about 2.5 hours northwest of here. I will repeat again that I am a farmer, not a speaker, so I am here purely just speaking from the heart. Hope to be able to connect with you on some level. We have a 200-acre organic dairy farm, and most of the feed that we grow is used to feed our cows. And on the farm we also produce organic ice cream and organic yogurt, the yogurt of which I brought to sample for you guys. So thinking a little bit on my drive here about what it is that I wanted to talk to people about. There's a lot of information here about all the statistics about the negative effects of genetically modified organisms and the implications on health and our society and on human rights and all of these types of things. I thought it would be a good idea for me to focus a little bit more on my own personal experience, which would be my horrible fear of the introduction of GM alfalfa. Now, I'm not sure how knowledgeable anybody here is about that particular issue, but alfalfa and forages in general are an integral part of our organic system. So within our system, we obviously don't use artificial fertilizers, but rely on using crop rotation in order to feed the soil for the following crop the following year. So the forage is 2 years in a row in order to put enough fertility and nitrogen into the soil to feed the corn for the following year. And it's a really important part of our system in the fields. But obviously, cows like grass, right guys? You guys know that? Cows love grass. So obviously that's an important part of their diet, and they really couldn't live without it. And without it, we wouldn't be producing milk, and without that, we wouldn't be producing ice cream. So it's really, really important that is maintained as a non-genetically modified crop. Now, the issue with alfalfa is that it's a perennial crop. So prior to this summer, I guess it was, when it was approved to be registered for sale. Now, that doesn't mean it's actually been sold and planted yet, but it's been approved to be registered for sale. So it can still be stopped, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to put out some hope here. It's a perennial plant, which means that it cross-pollinates and it comes back the following year. So prior to this, there's been corn, soy, cotton, and what am I missing here? And canola, of course, canola the biggest one. And they're all annual crops. So once they're finished at the end of the season, they're plowed down or sprayed with enormous amounts of Roundup and destroyed. But with alfalfa, it easily cross-pollinates. It's also a very fine, small seed, so it's very difficult to actually track where it ends up. And there's also the issue of feral alfalfa too, which is all the alfalfa that you see growing in the ditches. It can easily cross-pollinate to that too. So these great corporations and the government have decided that there is a great best management practice that can be put into place. And with this best management practice, there can be a plan of coexistence. Now, this idea of coexistence is absolutely ridiculous. I've owned bees before, and they forage far and wide, and they definitely don't stop at the fence line and say, whoa, gotta stop here. This is an organic field, hang on, let me go back. So they don't follow any of those signs, and neither does the wind. So all of these things are bound to happen and end up contaminating our organic and also just conventional forage crops, in particular alfalfa. Interestingly enough too, normally as an organic farmer, we find ourselves on one side of the fence and conventional farmers on the other. But in this particular case, many conventional farmers are really concerned about the GM alfalfa as well. The major importers of many of our agricultural products, and that includes meat products because they of course eat GM feed, which would be in China, Japan, the Middle East, and of course the European Union. They absolutely refuse to import any kind of GMO crops or feeds. So that completely closes that market to any conventional farmers as well. So they are also fighting against this, particularly in the West. Oddly enough, I was speaking to someone earlier and talking about why farmers think that they need to have this alfalfa, this GM alfalfa. And I would say that 10 years ago, it wasn't even on anyone's radar that there was anything even wrong with this crop. But these corporations have an incredible lobbying mechanism, advertising mechanism, and have managed to convince farmers that they are going to need to have GM alfalfa so that they can get rid of all the fine weeds that are in their crops, and there's no way that they can live without it. And of course they tout out the whole propaganda about feeding the world, etc., although many studies have proven up to this point that hunger has increased, pesticide use has increased, herbicide use has increased, all after the advent of genetically modified crops. So yeah, that's another big reason why we definitely need to fight this. But it's gotten to the point here, and again, like I say, I'm a farmer, not a speaker, but I really felt that it was really important for me to pass the torch on to consumers here, because we really need the support of, well, what's the latest term, eaters maybe? Is that the correct term now?
Yeah.
Is that right? But yeah, we definitely need to have the support of people within the cities, the people that are buying the food, in order to fight against this, because once the GM alfalfa is released, there's no holding it back. For my bee analogy or wind analogy, there's no stopping it. And as much as they say farmers can clean out their seed drills prior to planting the next crop, there's no way, it's almost like grains of sand if you see alfalfa seeds. It's really, really small. There's no way that you can contain that from planter to planter, or prevent it from blowing into ditches, and then that in turn cross-pollinating into other fields. So,
how do they get involved? What do you want them to do?
well, there's a number of things here. Seed-Band definitely has a booth here. Make sure you talk to them. They have all sorts of petitions, letters to sign, all types of things like that. The National Farmers Union, which I'm a part of, also does a ton of work trying to fight this as well. So go to their website. I know that they have currently have a letter that's requiring signatures, and that will hopefully prevent the seed from being planted in the spring. So that's my main thing, I guess. On just more of a personal note, if you guys are ever out our way to come visit the farm, we are open to the public, and you can come hang out with the cows and the little calves. And we also have a number of other animals too, like alpacas and sheep and goats and chickens and ducks and bunnies. What else did I forget? Pigs. Oh, right, of course, the pigs. So yeah, we definitely have an open door policy on our farm. It's open all the time. You can come say hi. I really encourage you to try to get in touch with the people that are producing your food. It's really the only way to know what you're eating. And especially with the lack of labeling with GMOs, you really have to inquire farmer to farmer for your food source to find out what's going on. I could talk another 10 minutes about labeling, but that's a whole other thing.
Thank you so much, Arwa.
All right.
Great, thanks. Thanks so much, Arwa. So